today we're making bubble bars. There are several free bubble bar recipes for you online, and I will post some links below so that you can get other written recipes and experiment on your own. But today I'm going to be adding 8.8 ounces of baking soda in my mix bowl. Some recipes will call for a powdered or dry surfactant. Some call for wet surfactants, but I want my bars to dry. I don't want them to take a very long time to dry. So next we are going to put 2.5 ounces of sodium cocoa isothianate, also known as SCI. Now this is a fine powder. It does come in noodle form. I don't suggest using that for a bubble bar recipe though. And then 6.5 ounces of sodium lauryl sulfate acetate. And you really want to wear a mask when you're working with these, because you don't, even with the mask it's making me cough, you don't want to get the powder in your lungs. Once it's wet, you can take the mask off. Okay, next we're going to add 2.5 ounces of cream of tartar. Now you can I buy mine in bulk. I just happen to have one of these at home that needed to get used up. So you can buy, this is 2.6 ounces. And there's still some in there because I only needed 2.5 ounces. But you can buy them bulk from most suppliers. I think Nature's Garden has it. Save on Citric has it. There's a lot of places that you can buy it in bulk and save a lot of money. Okay, and then 1.5 ounces of cornstarch. Now I'm sifting my ingredients because I don't really want any tiny white balls in my mix. I want to make sure that everything's sifted and fine so that when we color it and add our liquids, that there's no chunks. So we're going to go ahead and pop that over here because we're going to be adding the liquids next to our trusty dusty stand mixer. I've had this KitchenAid since '99. It is like the Sherman tank of mixers. The next thing that we're going to do is just add half a teaspoon, a little over half a teaspoon of orange mica to color it. You can add, like I love Easy Colors dyes. You can add those in here, lakes, whatever you want, but I just am using the orange mica. Okay, so before I turn on the mixer, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to add because I got to add it while it's mixing. And that is about 4.5 ounces of glycerin, 1.5 ounces of cocoa butter, and a tablespoon of polysorbate. The polysorbate, you can use 80 or 60. You can even use 20 depending on what kind of oil you're using. But what it does is help the oils combine with the water and emulsify so that you don't get like an oil slick in there. But it'll help make this a very moisturizing bath for you. So I'm going to start this up and get it mixing. So in goes 1.4 ounces of cocoa butter. Now you can choose a lighter oil if you wish. I just like the way cocoa butter feels, especially for this recipe. And then my glycerin and my polysorbate. I'm just going to drizzle that in while it's running. Boy, you know, even wearing a mask, that stuff just gets me. Okay. So all I'm doing is I just stop my mixer so I can scrape out my cup that have my glycerin in there. I just want to make sure I get all that goodness out, along with the polysorbate. And it gives me a chance just to scrape the sides of the bowl and the spatula because I want to make sure all my ingredients get incorporated. Now if this is too dry, which mine's not turning very dry, but if it's a really dry day, you could find this to be too dry. Okay, and if that happens to you, all you need to do is just add probably half a teaspoon at a time of glycerin. Oh dear Lord, I forgot to add my fragrance. Da 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 da. So here's my, it's a half ounce of fragrance. Get that going. I'm just going to let that get good and incorporated real quick. But you can see it's pulling away from the sides, which is exactly what we want. Okay, I can knead the rest in. I can't believe I almost forgot my fragrance. Yee-wee. Okay. Now everyone's different. What I like to do is just knead this a little bit and then let it sit. Now if this is too wet for you to mold, all you have to do is add, and yeah, it's kind of squishy. I might have to add some powders here. But what I want to do first though is I'm going to cover this and I'm going to let it set for about 5 minutes so that all those powders have a chance. Anything that can absorb moisture will have a chance to absorb it, because I don't want to add any powdered ingredients in here and over dry my mix. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, so I've just turned it out onto a cornstarch powdered countertop here. And I'm going to take off, I've got a scale set off camera here. I'm going to take off as much as I need. I'm going to weigh it out to make sure that they all weigh the same. I'm making 3-ounce bubble bars, so I'm just gonna cover it in cornstarch so that it will stick to your gloves. Now, I'm no sculptor, so I'm gonna do the best I can here by making a ball. And if you find that this is too soft, just let it sit a wee bit longer. Oops, I'm off camera again. I have a bad habit of doing that. I try to zoom in so that you guys can see what I'm doing, and then I end up, actually I think what I'll do is just, let me separate this into my little balls here, and I'll be right back. Now that I've got them all divided, just dusting my gloves with a little bit of cornstarch here so it doesn't stick. I got some fresh gloves on. And I'm going to try to shape this into a pumpkin. Now, I am no sculptor. I'll just go ahead and let you know that now. But pumpkins are just kind of flat balls, so I'm assuming this is probably something that you don't want to move once you've got it where it needs to be. So I'm going to just press down on that a little bit. We'll take our little stick, and all I'm going to do is just make some lines or depressions. You can do this with the handle of a paintbrush if you don't have sculpting tools. But that just gives you the ridges. Let me zoom in here. That gives you kind of your pumpkin shape. So again, not wanting to handle it. Let's see if I can screw this up with something. These will take a couple of days to dry, and these will take a couple of days to dry, and you really don't want to fuss with them too much. And I just dropped it. That's why you don't want to fuss with them. Any cornstarch that you get on there, you can brush off with a brush, hit it with some rubbing alcohol, whatever you gotta do. But that's why you don't really want to be moving them too much after you make them. Now you can paint these just like we did our bath bombs with some rubbing alcohol and mica. You could color a small part of this dough black and roll it out and cut out like jack-o'-lantern faces. Now I couldn't make this say green, right? But what I could do is add a little brown mica in here for a stem. So cocoa powder would also work. Let me go grab some and show you what I mean. That's just some mocha brown. Sticky there. What we can do is just take a little piece. My hands have warmed this up and softened it up. And put a little stem on top.